hilarious compared to what's going on the Instagram, which is a bunch of people shitting their pants that they didn't get a fucking gift card from the company.
So, in honor of our discussion for the evening, I have a wine cooler.
Oh boy.
Should I crack open a cold one?
Get the Lindsay Ellis Phantom of the Opera video.
I need the catch this little.
I don't drink.
I'm just running around with whiffs. So I don't drink often, but I will for this.
I don't really. I don't really drink that much either. But
I don't drink at all. This is just how I am.
I just don't drink, period, for several reasons. Some of them that are very personal, but
that's fair.
Now I kind of make a cup of hot chocolate for this, even though it would feed the mega shits in the morning.
I could get my homemade macarons.
Ooh. I have a strawberry daiquiri wine cooler and a mint chocolate bar.
Nice. Decadence.
Decadence, absolutely.
Did you hear that, Instagram? We're living in decadence. Well, you're not getting your fake virtual money.
You're shrinking
I wanted
to your temper tantrums.
Because I no longer work for Stone, and this is an idea that did not go anywhere, I feel like I can talk about this now. Because this does go hand in hand with the merch discussion we were having. Larry, you Snapchatting me?
Maybe.
Larry?
Maybe. Yeah. What about it? What about it?
Nothing. I just want to see what it is.
Oh, there is a funny
it's the Sunny D vodka.
Nice.
Thank you.
There is a funny channel status I could give the voice.
Voice
call. Hold on.
Please do it. So
the Discord.
So when I started at Stone, like Star Stable did have merch, and I had pitched as an idea. I was like, hey, like you have this Design a Horse program, and the people that would buy merch for this game are probably less likely to buy chintzy toys as they would be to buy like a genuine collectible. Like I'm thinking about like not necessarily to the level of like the Hot Toys figures, but like I know some of us collect like the dinosaur models and stuff like that too. Something that's like in the maybe like $100 to $200 range. That is like really high quality.
Plus, there is also precedence for it, because I would argue that in its current state, SSO is a game that really appeals to people with collector mindsets.
Yes, exactly. Because of all the different horses you can buy and everything like that. So that was where I was coming from. And Stone as a company has the Design a Horse program, which I was already working on. Like I was already remastering the Design a Horse program and making it so that you could essentially have a virtual builder instead of, they had like drop-down menus that you could go through and do. Well, my idea was that you could actually merge the Design a Horse builder and Star Stable's create a character. And what you would get was like, okay, so everything's, it's all the Jorvik Warmblood, right? You can use one mold. You wouldn't have to use any other mold for this. It would be a special section of Design a Horse. You would only have the colors listed in Star Stable's Create a Horse for the starters. So you'd be able to choose the coat color and the mane and tail color. And then you give it a name. And they could print the name out on like a COA. So essentially you could have your starter horse made. And this program would probably run you about $200, $250. Now I know they've raised their prices since that time. So now you're probably looking at anywhere upwards of $300. But at the time, like, I thought that was a pretty good idea that I do honestly think that people would pay for. And this is coming from someone that does custom Star Stable models, is people will pay for these models. For me, it was like a no-brainer thinking, okay, your Design a Horse program and Star Stable's starter horse, easy. Like, that would be so easy. But like, you know, the stuff that I'm doing on the side, the one-offs and, you know, on the side, it's like you could have a whole line of the magic horses and do one of the things that, like, I mean, we talked about Belisara a little bit. Belisara was like a big niche of mine when I was a kid. And
me too. That was
and
that
so
was
one
what
of-
occupied the. That's
Yeah.
what would occupy the niche that our
Yes.
stable would have fulfilled if they knew how to
Yes.
market their game.
Exactly. So whether it's
I would buy trading cards. from
I would
them.
buy Star Stable trading cards. I think that would be sick.
Oh.
Like artist cards.
Star
I
Stable-
think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Stable trading card set or tarot card set would
Oh, a
sell
Star
like
Stable
hotcakes,
tarot
I
card
think.
set would be crazy. That would be
Especially
awesome.
because especially for like smaller properties, I feel like tarot cards have been more successful than trading cards. I
Mhm.
feel like there have been only very specific scenarios where people
Yeah.
have gone with trading cards versus tarot cards.
Yes.
Is that just me?
No,
Is that
tarot cards have become more mainstream lately in that instead of a like, because I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily have a use for trading cards anymore. But a tarot deck is a tarot deck, and it's more about the artistry than anything else. I say this as someone who owns one tarot deck because they really, really liked the art. Like,
and also people get excited about the meanings that get associated with the art. Like for an Undertale tarot card set, if you associate the characters with the right thing, people are gonna go absolutely ballistic because they're like, yeah, that's what this story's about, baby.
So, I would say that maybe trading cards would benefit them a lot.
Trading cards might benefit
I
Star
think
Stable more than
both
other
would work.
companies because of the kid collector aspect. If you're marketing towards kids, you're probably gonna want to go the trading card route. But Belisara, towards the end of them being in business, actually had little blind bag horses. They were flock. They were flocked
I
horses.
have a few of those.
Yeah, that would be a cute idea. Even like little plastic ones along the lines of like a My Little Pony style, mystery blind bag. But
it would be. Oh, sorry, you first.
I was just gonna say that like the only issue is that as far as like procuring those assets, making those things is I don't know what that looks like in Sweden. Like I'm not sure. Like they'd have to probably partner with some other company to do that. And I thought
they might have to outsource that.
Yes, I thought that when the animated series was announced, the Mistfall series was announced, I thought that there was something in there about having a toy line. And I remember that because I thought to myself, oh, the company that they're saying that they partnered with for a toy line is the same company that eventually did Spirit Riding free toys. So I was oh, interesting. Because those turned out nice. They did.
You know what would be the perfect marketing scheme for this game for both new players and old players? Doing the Webkins model of selling model or toy horses with a code that lets you get that horse in the game.
That's what I always wanted Belisara to do too. Like, I remember like the peak days of Belisara for me were when the cards had codes on them, and all the horses that you collected went into a stable online.
Yeah.
And you could see all of them.
I adored that.
That was amazing. Now, I'm not saying that Star Stable could do the exact same thing, but I think that they would benefit from, like you said, the Webkins model. Maybe it's a Kickstarter. Maybe it's is it Makeshift that does the plushies like that?
Make plushie.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if it's a plushie that either is a special horse that you can get, and you buy the plushie and you get the horse in the game, or it's a special plushie that maybe comes with a star coin code, or a special tax set. Essentially, just a code that gives you something. Yeah, even a pet that gives you something in the game. Because at this point,
it would be really cool.
Yeah. You go ahead, Neon.
I think it would be really cool if they had, if it was, and it couldn't be, you couldn't just get the horse in game. It's specifically a horse that you exclusively get as a plushie.
Yep, that's
yeah,
exactly
especially
what I was
because
going for,
that would be a great way to get new players into the game because it would give them something other than the starter horse.
Though I think just thinking logistically in the beginning, it really wouldn't like get new players into the game. Because if you're going to sell plushies, you have to have a repertoire with companies to sell those plushies. And like places like Walmart and Target and things like that here would not sell Star Stable plush.
Right.
Like, what the hell is that? So they would have to start with selling it off of their own website.
Yep.
Which probably to them is probably the higher ups. That's too much of a risk.
Then that's fair. That's very fair. Okay.
For stable, higher ups, you need to get a better marketing team.
Well, for everybody that's just joining the stream tonight, that kind of just jumped into the middle of this. And why are you guys talking about Star Stable marketing strategies and merch? We've been watching everybody discuss the "we didn't get 300 star coins on Christmas" thing, and we've just kind of trying to like work backwards from that and figure out, okay, is there a more productive conversation that we could be having surrounding this? Because
especially because
it's like on the one hand we're not like fully defending Star Stable because like, okay, you've done this thing for 13 years. It doesn't cost you anything to do it, and you're not doing it this year on Christmas. That is kind of shitty. But on the other hand, they've also never like come out and specifically said, hey, we're doing this every year. We just kind of expect it. And I feel like the behavior on some people's parts, like there have been quite a few people that have been very vocal in, I don't want to say the right way because like that has a whole connotation in itself that I don't want to get into. But they've been vocal in a way that I feel like is more productive to like having a conversation instead of just yelling into the void and being rude to employees who probably had nothing, actually probably definitely did not have anything to do with that decision. If they're working in marketing or if they're working in social media, they didn't have anything to do with that decision. So yelling at like the Instagram, like whoever's running the Instagram account is definitely like all anybody's doing is making that poor person feel worse. But having a conversation, a polite one with constructive criticism and contacting Star Stable through the customer service channels might actually get some things rolling. But we just wanted to kind of have like in our group chat all day, we've been kind of having like a brainstorming thing about like what could they have done differently, what like how productive is their current model as an MMO to making them money while also pleasing the customer base. And what we were just talking about was like, what kind of merch ideas could they do that could potentially get them some income?
As opposed to the shit sent to Candle.
As opposed to the stupid ass Candle. So yeah, that's just that's what we're on tonight. Is that discussion, because also we also have not been on a lot over Christmas just because I've either not felt great or been busy, so we haven't also had a chance to talk about the unbalanced rewards in the Christmas event, in the winter event. We can discuss that too if anybody's feeling spicy about that in particular. But
I'm so worn out from just doing all that every day.
I know. I finished it a couple nights ago, and I have not touched Star Stable other than I think to get on and feed my horse.
I didn't even feed my horse. I haven't been on because after I got my snowflakes, I was like, and when I learned London Fog or like none of the new sets or like for winter tokens, I'm like, why
which I don't understand.
Going on every day?
I don't understand why like where they showed all the winter sets to us. What? You have one more week to go, or like what, 2 weeks to
2
go?
weeks. 2 weeks about,
and we
yeah.
still haven't seen those.
Mhm.
Are the new, like, are the glittery New Year's ones, are those in the store?
They're in the store
They
now.
are.
They're not for winter tokens.
Okay, I didn't think those would be for winter tokens, but I've been, like, maxing out my shillings constantly, and I need to buy something.
Same, because I was saving for the London Fog set, but
Mhm.
now I'm like, oh my god, I had to buy something.
The
But
saddest
when that
thing
green
for
jacket came
me-
out, I was sold. I was like, oh my god, okay, you
Yeah,
got
the
me.
green jacket's fun.
The saddest thing for me was on the 24th. I think it was the 24th. Getting 2,000 Jorvik shillings and being told, yeah, your Jorvik shillings are maxed out. You gotta buy something. And I was like, no.
That's why I stopped opening the presents at one point, because I'm like, wait a minute. I'm constantly maxed. Like, if some of these are shillings, I'm screwed.
Someone just sank into the lake.
It's
Amazing.
real quick, I just want to butt in. Has anyone brought up that an important part of the discussions we've been having was that we found on a, as far as I can tell, a reliable Swedish business directory site. Star Stable's parent company reported huge losses in revenue for 2022. I think it was like 33 million euros equivalent. Let me double check that number.
We didn't talk about that yet, but we can talk about that. I want to, like, obviously I think that's something we got to take with a grain of salt, because none of us can actually, like, read Swedish to know exactly what is going on there. However,
that is true.
When you see a big red arrow, down arrow, and, like, big red negative, you know, like that kind of thing, like, you can assume that means they lost money. Now, that being said, that does line up with a lot of things that I feel like happened this year regarding Star Stable trying to make up for lost profit, because now, like, they rushed out of that deal with Ellie Kangas, who did the comics.
Like, I follow them on Tumblr now.
They're a wonderful artist. I really like them. They've always been friendly. Because, like, I've contacted them for other stuff. Like, we've had a couple, like, back and forth conversations. They're very, very nice, and they do really good stuff. But it seemed like between that and the whole deal with Helena Dahlgren, they're the author for the books, that definitely felt very rushed and like, oh my god, we have to cut our losses, like, right now. Like a panic move. Because if they weren't losing money on those two things in particular, like, then I don't feel like that would have happened. I feel like there would have been a little bit longer talk. But knowing, having heard from Ellie that it was very spontaneous, that to me feels like, okay, something happened there on Star Stable's end.
Plus, there's also, like, the fiasco with the failed Horse Girl and Candle campaigns, both of which seem to have cost a lot of money, most likely, especially because there were film commercials for the whole Horse Girl campaign, I remember.
It was a big production.
And then, very clearly big production, and then the layoffs that happened.
Yep.
Like, a lot of stuff happened in 2022, and I want to say over the course of 2023, if I'm remembering right, that point to Star Stable being struggling financially a bit.
Yeah.
Currently.
And that's probably why they didn't tell the two people, like the author and the artist, that they cut off what was happening.
Yep.
Because then those people would have went and told the public, oh yeah, they're struggling financially, which you don't want to be public ever.
Exactly.
So I understand why they probably didn't say why. Yeah, it would hurt as an artist, but like from a business standpoint.
Right.
You don't want to tell your people that, we are struggling hard, and then you would hear nothing for months on end of Star Stable's gonna die, the game's shutting down.
Yep.
The game's going to shut down everyone.
Which
That's
would
all they
make
would
people
get.
spend their money on the game because, oh my god, I spend my money on a dying game, I'll lose everything I spent money on.
Yep.
Yeah, it creates a snowball of panic, especially in current area where abandonware is
Yes.
if on the rise again, especially from very prolific publishers. There's a lot of stuff that comes out half baked and then is abandoned in the first year, especially live service model games. Like I think Square Enix killed maybe 5 projects this year that was that were all live service models. So people have this expectation that if you have this expectation to a point where this is a indie MMO, this is a niche within a niche.
Yep.
If they admit that they're struggling financially, which even if that source Ashley found is ultimately of questionable I guess vocal, I forget the right words I want, you know what I'm trying to say is the important thing.
Yes, yeah.
But if it gets out, if it becomes common knowledge to everyone, it becomes the story TM,
right,
then it's gonna snowball because everyone will just think, oh, this is another fail/scam MMO, or this is another piece of abandonware, because that's just how dire shit is in the video game industry. That's just what people expect at this point. So, hold on, let me check something.
So for anybody just tuning in to this isn't us trying to start gossip. This isn't us saying oh my god, the game is ending and everything. This discussion started because everybody, I can't even say everybody. Some people on Instagram started a hashtag boycott SSO, hashtag whatever protest when we didn't get the 300 star coins on Christmas Day that we typically do. Will the boycott work? Who knows? We don't know. It probably won't.
I just bought more store coins. Store coin.
So but we're just having a little bit of a discussion on okay, could things be handled better on Star Stable's end?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%. Could the community have handled things better? Absolutely. We expect Star Stable to listen to us, but then blow up in their faces at any given opportunity. So it's definitely a double-edged sword. And on the one hand, knowing people that have worked, knowing that we have friends that have worked for Star Stable and who said it was being on that social media end a very stressful experience. Then I've worked for customer service in not a video game company, but a model horse company, who kind of had the same thing going on, where that was also a very stressful experience because your customers only see so many things. They don't see anything that goes on the back end. So even if there are things that you're desperately trying to push out that they are asking for, some people just go way, 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 way in too deep with how they ask for things. And it does definitely take a toll on you. And I feel really shitty that this is all going down around Christmas when they are supposed to be having a break,
And plus also, I think in general that, especially as someone who's been playing them pretty much all my life, I was very much virtual worlds in place of real world friendships growing up. That MMOs just kind of have some of the most toxic gaming communities. Period.
Oh, agreed.
Of gaming as a hobby. MMOs and MOBAs have just the most toxic games. And MOBAs might be a little skewed because that just happens to be the genre that League of Legends is in, and you can't top League of Legends in terms of toxicity.
Yes.
But like World of Warcraft was notoriously shitty. Like SSO just kind of feels like a baby version of the Warcraft community, to be honest. Like Warcraft for her, in terms of community attitudes. So it is unfortunately like a very toxic community having a tantrum a bit.
I also want to add that them giving out gifts isn't over.
Right.
Like, they thought just because they didn't get start, like, maybe Star Coins always came on the 25th or something, and then the pet came on the very last day. That's what I remember for the past few years.
Yeah.
But, like, I think they should have held it out for the last day to see what they would have got before they're like, oh, we're mad. Kind of thing. I'm like, y'all, I just got my 27th gift. Woohoo.
So, and Star Stable has not, like, Star Stable has not specifically come out and confirmed that no, we are not getting Star Coins this year. That's the other part of this that I'm like, hang on a second, hold on.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like,
Calm
why is
down.
everybody going nuts?
Calm down. Calm down.
They have commented and basically led people to believe, no, we're not being given Star Coins this year. But they've never explicitly come out and said it, because when you're in that position, you don't. That's one thing that learning from experience here or speaking from experience in that kind of a environment, there are certain things that you can't say, and that's definitely one of them. So like, it's a really weird situation that we're all currently in right now, as far as like people kind of think that Star Stable's like gaslighting them almost. Is like, oh, well, the year's not over. And they're like, dude, we've seen the leaked things that we're going to get. Like, hello? So things are it's very weird. And you guys are right. Like, it's a super toxic environment to be in right now, as like someone who just likes to putz around on the game once a week, like, but I don't know. It's when they all get back from break, it will be very interesting to see what does come of this, because they have made some other decisions this year that I've kind of been like, why? And the candle's the biggest one. If we want to get back to talking about marketing and merch, we probably I feel like we can.
Candle.
Let's talk about the candle again.
It's always the candle sounds like a skit that would happen in Salmon Cat, and I am totally just saying that because I'm in the middle of watching the new Quentin Reviews video that released.
It sounds like
today.
An SNL skit. Horse Girl Candle sounds like an SNL skit.
Horse Girl Candle that smells like horse feces.
Yes.
And it comes in a package full of like fake flies and shit.
Like, that to me, that whole situation to me feels like they wanted to go viral and they didn't care how. That's exactly like, that's what that feels like to me, is like, what can we do that would be like a huge viral marketing stunt? And they partnered with a company that would help them make a candle that smelled like Horse Girl or whatever, thinking that, oh, equestrians will buy anything as long as there's a horse slapped on it. No. No.
I wonder what the logic was. Like, were they watching like those fucking cringe mobile ad compilations, like Vine Sauce's Commercial Chaos and Jabroni Mike's like family streams, and going, what would be a smart idea to do something that would get us on this?
Yeah.
That's the reputation we want to build for our game.
Right, like it comes out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. It made absolutely no sense. And it's the same with now the Horse Girl campaign. I know we've talked a lot about the Horse Girl campaign in the past. I'm always ready to rehash the Horse Girl campaign because I think it was the dumbest thing that they've ever done. until the candle.
Mhm.
But I also want to note that not only seemingly did the books and the comics get cut, but we also haven't really had any major music from them either. Like, I know that they put out a track, like that they had Nomi put out a track for the Hollow Woods. I know that they did that. But there was no big, like, oh my god, wow, new track from Nomi type thing. Like, major pushing that.
fanfare.
None. So the last time I think there was a song that they pushed with any major fanfare was like the Horse Girl thing. Because wasn't there a song that went with that too, that she did? Something like that.
I have no idea.
No.
I thought there was. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there
They
was.
pro-
Because it was a music video.
There was probably some little jingle they made for the
Yeah.
campaign.
Yeah, because it was a music video, I thought. So, but that production probably cost them a buttload of
Too
money.
much.
And
And they put all their
it was-
cards into it. I'm like, dude, this is way too niche for you to get more people to play your game. I'm sorry.
yeah,
And they say, we bite people. I'm like, okay, I admit to biting people. I'll bite someone. I don't give a shit, but I don't think we should say that out loud.
I
Yeah,
don't
there
think you
were-
want that as a promotion point for your game, especially because, like, there is, in my opinion, a new wave of cringe culture
oh, absolutely.
right now,
Oh,
and like,
absolutely.
especially since we're getting like the modern homogeneous, however you pronounce that word,
Homogenous.
homogeneous. Thank
Woo!
you. Homogeneous digital age kids who
Yes.
start out with it, like start out on TikTok and social media and shit, because there's no Coon Towns or
Right.
Emoji Monsters anymore. I think reliable like that. Kids are a lot more self-conscious. Oh,
Yes.
Betsy died.
sorry.
Die!
My dad was asking me a question and I didn't want to be rude, but to finish my thought, a lot of kids are starting out on social media nowadays, and so there's a new wave of self-consciousness and social anxiety, because there isn't really a lot of good internet infrastructure at the moment to
Yeah.
accommodate both the niche groups and the general masses.
Mhm.
And so kids are more likely to be embarrassed and laugh at the I bite people thing than they are to want to check out the game, because they're gonna go, oh no, if I play the game that like boasts about people biting each other, my friends are gonna make fun of me, especially because horse game is already a cell that's kind of historically tied
Yes.
to being considered cringe.
Yes.
Cringe because it falls into the historical anything AFAB people are cringe, or like anything portrayed as girly is cringe.
Yep.
So you've already got that hurdle to overcome with with a generation that is already like trapped in the hell of needing to perform constantly
Yep.
in a way that will always be recorded. So it's like you can't do that. There's
Yeah.
a way to do it, but it's not the we bite people thing, or it's not the shit scented candle thing. That's gonna make
Just
people
give us a shirt with a Jorvik Wild on it.
it's gonna make people too embarrassed to play the game.
Like,
I'm all
what
for.
I'm all for leaning into the crazy horse girl thing. I'm all for leaning
Ashley
into
doesn't
the
know
crazy
about the
horse girl
candle
thing.
stunt. Sorry, I need
Because-
to.
Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Ashley, ex-SSO employee Ashley doesn't know about the candle. Oh my god!
Somebody fill her in, please. Please fill her in about the candle. Um,
I'm gonna say something crazy, and we've
Please.
had this a conversation before.
Uh-huh.
But you know what would have been a better slogan than "Horse girls are crazy and we bite people"? I'm looking around, looking at SSO people, like execs. Horse riding is for everyone. And what if you just didn't make this game where it was only a female pro tag? What if you had a bunch of genders and opened up the market to like literally everyone? And they said, and your slogan is horse riding is for everyone kind of thing. Wouldn't that be crazy, SSO? Wouldn't that be wild?
On that note,
Didn't they say something about they like having it just be for girls?
I think that's just also them being lazy.
I think that's them being lazy at this point.
Them being lazy is all hell.
Yeah,
They're lazy to go back and change pronouns. No, they're just lazy to go. Oh, you're good. Like they're too lazy to go back and change the pronouns.
Yep.
Of the entire all the missions.
At
Literally,
this point,
if they paid me to go back, I'd go back and do it myself.
It really, really does, and I hate to say that because like I like giving this company the benefit of the doubt because they are. The graphic updates have been insane. They're definitely clearly working on making this more functional as an MMO, but the way they're going about literally everything else is shitty.
Yeah.
But I wanna touch really quick on the crazy horse girl thing again. I'm all for the idea that this is something that we like, or that women. AFAB, you know, like whatever. If you identify as a woman, a girl, whatever, that's something that you can reclaim. Because what's funny is that, along with a lot of other things, is women are called, you know, women and girls are called crazy and obsessive and every name in the book for having a niche interest. But the moment a man does it, oh my god. You know, and you see that with real horses. As someone who grew up in Pony Club, it was a rare and novel thing for there to be a guy involved at our level. Yet when you look at like Olympians and major horse trainers, 3-day eventers, ropers, reiners, you look at the real horse world, and the higher you go, as far as like not even necessarily skill level, but if competing for money, the higher you go, the more male dominated it becomes. And even then I like to think about the model horse community. And say what you will about the model horse community, it's probably 99% women. Okay? In my experience, and this is not me trying to discourage men from collecting, I do have male friends who collect. I do have male friends who collect who are artists. But I will say this. The moment that you as a man enter the model horse collecting space, everybody flocks to these people because it is novel and rare for a man to be collecting. And all of a sudden it turns into, oh my god, because he's a man collecting model horses, his popularity skyrockets. Whereas everybody else, you know, has to work a lot harder to get to that point of recognition. Whereas just being a man seems to have helped. But I do think that with Star Stable, on the one hand, I want to see them be more inclusive of genders because I really, really want to get it across. Like, I'd love to get it across that, yes, horses are for everyone. It should not be just because of your gender, you should not be stigmatized one way or another for enjoying horses. Like,
and the idea of liking certain animals being tied to gender,
yes,
genuinely such a silly concept.
Yes. So like, if Star Stable, like, that would have been the best thing that they could do. Would be, let's add male characters, let's add non-binary characters. You know, like, let's do that. Okay, they didn't do that. They decided to lean into the crazy horse girl. Why can't we, as equestrians, horse lovers, you know, model horse collectors, whatever, reclaim that term? Because it's insane to me how having a passion, if you have a passion and you're female, you're crazy. Having a passion as a woman makes you crazy, apparently. Okay, so why didn't they reframe it as, instead of saying crazy horse girl, let's go, okay, horse girls are passionate. Horse girls are driven. Horse girls are ambitious. Like, why wasn't crazy turned into something else? Something positive. Like, I understand you want to make crazy horse girl a positive term. But when most of us have been bullied because of that, like...
Raises my hand.
Yeah, exactly. No, I have too. And, like, this is also... I have a crazy horse girl sticker that I made that, like, I have a shirt with it on there that I wear, you know, but it's like, that is more of a little bit of a, like, between equestrians, between horse people, it's kind of a nod. It's like an, oh, I see you. I see you. I know what you went through. I know that you're, you know, that you're owning that because you're just really passionate about this. But Star Stable took this campaign and tried to push it to people who are not familiar with that. And it backfired. It backfired a lot. And if it hadn't backfired, you'd still be seeing things to do with it now, as opposed to where it's basically dead and buried. So.
We don't talk about the candle, no.
So yeah, that's my little crazy horse girl rant for you guys. Star Stable, hire me.
Star Stable, hire like anyone else besides your current marketing team, because holy shit.
Hire everybody in this group chat.
Serious. I'm serious, Star Stable. I would get a shirt with a Jorvik Wild on it.
Yeah. Dude,
right?
I'd get a shirt that had like Moreland Stables on it. Like Moreland Stables established with like the symbol. Like the harp, Aideen's harp on it.
Yeah, like you could just genuinely fucking like throw some Photoshop filters on in-game screenshots so that they look like painted, like fucking mosaic, like high contrast monochrome filter. And it would be shadowed. Oh, sorry, you first.
No, you're okay. A Hollow Woods shirt would be really cool with like a cinematic looking panel on it, with the fireflies glowing and stuff in like Hollow Woods and like really cool font.
Yeah,
or like the Hollow Woods on like the like fireflies on the sleeve and everything, or vines on the sleeve. Yeah.
Something else that would be
I
really
think all of us need to just make. All of us need to make T-shirt ideas and just send them to Star Stable and here be like, go, just make.
I don't need incentives. I don't need you to pay me for the design. Just simply use it. I don't care.
Yes, please.
Just get a better marketing team.
Star Stable, the logo doesn't cut it. A T-shirt with a little logo on the pocket does not cut it.
It's boring.
It is incredibly boring. Kids aren't going to be like, ooh, I want that. Adults are going to be like, ooh, I want that. That makes you look more like an employee than an actual fan.
So something that could easily go on T-shirts too is, do you guys remember when they started to make like poster type artwork that was almost like a mirror of like what our national parks do? It was, oh god, let me see if I can find these. So they had, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it had to be because of I want to say it was when like Wildwoods came out. They started making these like poster, like very cinematic style art pieces that were like, oh, this is Wildwoods, this is Redwood Point, this is, you know, like whatever.
Yeah, the postcard things.
Yes. Now like that on a shirt, or even just straight up sell posters. Just sell posters. Like you can go through a print on demand company.
Partner with Displate, because Displate.
Honestly, all of their loading. No, you're okay. Honestly, all of their loading screen art would be great for posters and T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and the sad thing, I have seen those exact things on Redbubble.
Yep, that people have taken.
Sellers.
Yep, and tossed on Redbubble. I know. I can't stand Redbubble either.
I avoid it like the
trying
plague.
to find these.
So it's clear that there is a fan base that would. So I don't get why they don't get on it. It's because their merchandising, marketing team, whatever sucks.
Right. So some of the speaking from experience in using a print on demand service, but also like making some merch myself, is your cheapest and easiest things to make, whether it's through a print on demand service or like sourcing from another company, is obviously stickers. Like most of my income right now is reliant on stickers, which is crazy, but it is. Like that's definitely a real thing.
I witnessed it with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah. And t-shirts and hoodies. Like t-shirts and hoodies, you are probably making, I think, anywhere from, depending on like what they would sell these for. And this is me, little insight to my business right now is, if I list a t-shirt for like say $20, I think I'm making probably anywhere between like $8 and $10 off of a t-shirt, and that's one shirt. But I'm also like, you know, yes, I've drawn the design, but I'm not printing it, I'm not stocking it. It gets shipped automatically from a fulfillment center. So like Star Stable could partner with a print on demand company and have a rotating merch shop. But at this point, they probably, you know, especially with the layoffs they've had, they probably do not have people that could work on that. Like this might be the issue. But then again, like I've never worked for a gaming company. And this would be something that like would be interesting to ask like somebody who has worked at a small gaming company. Is apparently Star Stable right now has like 200 employees. That to me seems like a lot. Because like, I mean, like Ashley, I know you know this from experience too, is like we got a lot done in a little factory with 30 of us. Like,
right. Well, it matters how they have it structured.
Right.
What matters how they have it structured, though. I guarantee, like, a lot of those people are probably customer service and technical support.
Right. Yep. And like looking for bugs and working on like, you know, working on actually like making the game.
Q&A.
Yeah. Like to me right now, it feels like they're at almost a skeleton crew with who they have working on the game, and that's it.
So because this is an MMO, and like other mainstream MMOs, which they are trying to work themselves up to competing with, have like 3 times the size of employees. Like if you check out like the credits for a recent Warcraft expansion, that is well over 200 people for just that game.
Right.
And of course, there is an argument that it's not fully fair to compare SSO to like a mainstream MMO like Warcraft. But my point is that MMOs require a lot of fucking manpower to build, because you only really hear about the big mainstream ones. Those are the only ones that really make it.
Manpower and money.
Manpower and money. Also, don't interrupt. I just don't want this to go ignored. Danny Tiger X in the Twitch.
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah, me too.
Danny Tiger S. Also, I want to know how you guys feel about in the later levels of Terra, Whimsical, and Runology. You get to unlock permanent magic horse pair you can buy, and I don't think they are going to go away for a long time. I'll start if that's okay. I am always of the opinion of that I do not like a grinding system that where you unlock the privilege of being able to buy something, especially with the premium currency. That just does not sit right with me. It feels like you are putting something behind a paywall and something behind a lot of in-game work to do behind a paywall. I'm a little more understanding with Jorvik's shillings, although I am ultimately of the opinion that if you're gonna do something that requires a lot of grinding, like how Runology or Winter Magic is set up, that should just be what you need to unlock the rewards. You shouldn't
I
have to do any other steps beyond that. But
I agree with this sentiment.
But-
I think they've done it with the Rune Runner, where you had to grind for the Rune Runner and you could get a free horse out of it. I think, considering that was, goodness me, that took me at least 4 or 5 months to complete. And that's not including taking breaks and stuff. I believe it did take me like roughly around 4 or 5 months. So that alone, especially if it's like, it's not, to me, it's not absolutely terrible. Do I think that it shouldn't be locked behind premium currency and grinding? I think it should just be locked behind grinding. I don't think you should have a premium currency if you have to grind a ton. But I do think it's not something where it's a limited time grind, because just speaking from experience, I've played School of Dragons, and good lord, you had to pay. You didn't have to pay. You could, but you had to spend a fuck ton of time grinding to get a quote-unquote limited time dragon that was only for maybe 2 months, around for 2 months. Grind an insane amount on a buggy game that was basically a shell of itself. Or you could pay $75 out the ass for that dragon, only to find out that a few months later it goes up on sale on the store for a much cheaper price. When they take advantage of FOMO, that's when I get mad.
And I think this really highlights how unorthodox unorthodox SSO handles it in specifically in the way that makes me not assume the worst out of their monetization practices, as opposed to just going, they kind of don't know what they're doing, because I don't know what their logic would be for putting stuff in the Runology system that you have to then buy. But but the way it's structured, especially with these magic courses that are not limited time, it doesn't feel like the way these strategies work. It's you buy a pass to not grind, effectively. That's the way they work. But it's like, you did all this work, now pay for it. And it's such a dumb idea.
Clarifying real quick, before you finish, I just want to ask: are they asking for star coins for this particular payment, or is it the grinding currency, like the light?
No, it's star coins.
So it's star coins.
Okay,
But
that's stupid.
I was gonna say,
I'm sorry.
I want to pop in here a moment. I think I'm gonna say the exact same thing that Ashley's about to say. So the magic horses that you're going to unlock in these paths are ones that we've already had access to in the past, but they'll be at a discounted rate. I think they're taking like 300 star coins off of the initial price or something like that. But those horses then will no longer be in Gary's rotation. So I am in the camp of like, I actually like what they're doing with the magic horses. I like that, actually, because they're no longer in a rotation. You're not going to have to necessarily wait months to get them. Yes, you would have to grind, but we also don't know whenever those horses are coming back. Like when you leave it up to them going into Gary's like rotation, we have no clue when those horses are coming back, if they're ever coming back, because now there's so many magic horses being rotated in and out. So to alleviate that, and putting 6 of them into the Hollow Woods system at discounted prices, like, okay, yes, I might have a couple of those already. Yes, this might not necessarily be directed towards me, but I like the idea of there are areas in this game that there are exclusive horses for, that you can grind to get these at a discounted price, whereas your magic horses are, 900, 950 star coins. I don't mind that. What I don't like is we're doing all this grinding that's very reminiscent of the Rune Runner, and we're not getting clothing or anything out of it for free. Like, the clothing and everything, you have to pay star coins for. That's what bugs me, because that's such a little thing that they could do. Like, oh yeah, you hit this level, let's give you a free shirt. Like, okay, that to me feels like the dirty part. I don't mind the stuff with the magic horses, because to me that kind of feels like, oh yeah, I've made this connection with the environment. So therefore, because I have better reputation with this faction, I now have an exclusive mount that I got at a discounted price from this faction. So that's okay with me. It's the clothing and stuff that I'm like, all right, like this is kind of bullshit. I'm done.
well, and also with the magic horses, to add on to what you said a little bit, Emma, is it's nice that they have made certain horses associated with a certain area. Because with a lot of the magic horses, it's like, oh, they're just here.
Yeah.
But with these ones, I like that they have a connection to a place in Jorvik. I like that, because it gives them more story. Like,
I want more of that.
It makes me happy to buy them, because it's, like I said, there's that connection
things to the lore of the game, as opposed to like, as much as I love the gingerbread horse from the winter event, they're like, oh yes, this is just like a random thing that we pulled out of our asses and like are now adding it to the game.
No,
there's nothing wrong with that.
However, straws to connect it with Jorvik's lore.
Right. And the thing is though too, like kind of like we said about how it would be cool for our starter horses if you had to do, or even with new breeds, if you had to do a quest to get them, because, or to be allowed to buy them, because it gives you more connection with them than just being able to go up and buy it. Like, I would love to wait longer for a horse breed for them to create a story mission for us to be able to get them. Like the gingerbread one would have been so cool to have done, like a winter not winter magic necessarily like what we have, but a story, but some kind of story where we like bring them to life or something ourselves, or you know what I mean. But
not necessarily grinding for reputation either. Even just doing a certain little quest line.
Right.
Even something small.
Yeah, a small little quest line would be fun. Now I understand why they wouldn't have the time to do that for every single breed release. I think it would have been fun for the Mustangs. Like the Mustangs,
for the magics in general would have been cool.
Yeah, for all the magics, that would be kind of fun. Like that would be really, really fun. For some of the general horse breeds around Jorvik, though, like I understand why they'd be like, okay, yeah, like we don't need to do anything special for this one because we're adding like an Arabian to the game, whatever.
Right.
But some breeds, because they come out during an event, like I'm looking at the Mustangs for this because it was lined up for them to do it during the branch event.
I know.
And they didn't do anything.
And they didn't do anything.
Which okay, the ranch event was great, so I'm not gonna like pick that apart. Like I'm not gonna be an ass with this. But yeah, like there are just some things that I'm like, okay, you guys could make this so much more interesting, by incorporating like, I don't know, elements from your game into it.
Right. Well, the thing is though too, like the fact that it was so perfectly lined up though makes me wonder if they did have something in mind and it fell through.
And they probably didn't have the time to get it done is honestly what I would think, because that was already something that was very new and probably very labor intensive, because those were systems that we've never seen in the game before. That's why I'm able to like give them a major pass on that one.
Still over here, like wanting to throw a little nugget idea for the Jorvik Warmblood and the since we're on the topic of like doing quest lines.
Yeah.
You guys already know. I mentioned this in the stream a few weeks back. Pikachu's adding her conversation, by the way.
I hear her.
Thank you,
She's doing
everyone.
great.
Saying hello. My bird is saying hello.
Hi, birdie.
The idea I had, this is also connected to a dream I had a few years back. I had a dream where our Jorvik Warmblood was taken by the Dark Riders.
Mm-hmm.
Our starter horse.
Yeah.
And we had to get it back. And I'm over here thinking, if they ever went that far, it would be a great excuse to update the Jorvik Warmblood.
I was just
because
gonna say
thing,
that would be
yes.
a really, really good way to update the starter horse. Yes.
that
Absolutely.
thing is very crusty.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it
here's a-
sucks because I love mine so much, but like I'm like, oh man, I can't.
No, I don't even have mine just sitting in the stalls anymore. It's in the pasture because it's just like, oh, I don't want to look at you.
So this Danny in the chat on Twitch has like this is just between you same brain with same idea.
Same.
So she said, you know what got my goat? The introduction of the recycling machine. When I saw they brought out the idea for recycling for gear and stuff, I'd hoped that as like a huge grind, we would get another free horse in the form of a scrap robot horse. That is exactly what I thought it was gonna be. You know, and yes, that would have been super cool and unique, and that would have like brought something to the game. Like, I don't care how many recyclables I gotta get, I'm gonna get that robot horse because it's a robot horse. But you're right. Once you get the tack
now,
isn't even
since they're
fully
pushing
statted.
models more often.
The tack isn't even fully statted. So like, once you get the cat, there's nothing left to do. Like, okay, I use my recyclables every now and then because it's 200 horse XP. Okay, but now there's these annoying little recyclables all over the place that don't really do anything for me because I finished.
Yeah. I mean, you can use it
finished
for
it in a
Farrah's
day.
workshop too, but yeah.
It's like I finished. I honestly, I think it took me a day to finish the recyclables when they came out because it came out in the middle of the pandemic, and I was a college student who was doing everything from home, and all my classes were online, and I went, "Yup, this is what I'm gonna do during lecture." But yeah, like I really want them to. That's another thing I want them to take a look at. Is like, okay, please revamp the recycling system a little bit, and like maybe dump some new rewards in there. Just dump some new rewards in there.
So
We'll
so
do
much
it.
shit would be fixed if they added a goddamn transmog system.
I know.
It's amazing how much of this game honestly does need to be like completely overhauled, which makes me glad that they're doing like some proper tech overhauls for this year. Like that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're able to do it because the potential of them being in financial strife and the layoffs definitely throws all those big plans into question a little bit. So I
Yeah.
hope they can still do it.
As someone
Because
who's
they
played other MMOs, and I think I speak for every one of us in the voice chat here, like because we've played MMOs.
Yes.
Star
Yes.
Stable at this point is not an MMO. It's baby's first MMO, and even that's pushing it. That's pushing it. And this is not
It's
us
really
like
just a
ragging on the
glorified
game.
single player game where you can see
And
other
that's what I tell
people
people.
playing with.
That's what I tell people. Other than the champs, other than the multiplayer aspect of the champs, there really isn't anything in this game that screams, "This is an MMO" to me. Or at least there wasn't until they started coming out with the Hollow Wood stuff. Now I'm kind of like, okay, they're adapting. And I guess like, in my opinion, I'm trying to figure out like, I'm sitting back here trying to figure out like, some people are complaining about the direction the game has taken, and I don't know what they mean by that. Like, are you upset because the horses cost more because they're putting out more horses? Like, is that what you mean when you say the quote direction the game has taken? Because I'm happy with the direction the game has taken from a gameplay standpoint and from a graphical standpoint. It is a net positive. It is a net positive for me.
Yeah. This year
Because-
alone has been crazy with updates. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah. They just need to refine the process more and tackle the big overhauls like optimization and UI before they can really embrace their full potential. Because because like shit like that, like the shit they want to do this year, the big graphical overhaul, the advancement to new specs, the optimization to hopefully make the game run better. Like they promoted as like the game should run silky smooth with what we're planning to do,
which would be
Like-
fantastic.
which would be fantastic, and would that alone would bring them up to the standards of
Yeah.
MMOs, because
Yeah.
the game right now is laggy as shit. It's buggy as shit.
Yep.
Which is not great for the game's future. But like, I don't know where I'm going with this train of thought. I just need those optimizations because it gets really annoying to try and do the winter. I don't even bother doing champs anymore because I'm so desynced from other players that I have no chance,
Right.
no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's kind so it's very discouraging.
Yeah.
But I think my ultimate point is that SSO is starting to acknowledge that's an MMO, and they are fumbling a bit, but it's because they don't really know what they're doing as opposed to any sort of malice. Like, this is an ActiBliz. I used to play ActiBliz games. This is not. I promise you that these two companies are wildly different. It's because Star
If I
Stable
were-
Entertainment is not committing crimes against humanity, like legally,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
legally enforceable crimes against humanity, like every year. I promise you, it's not the same thing. So my point is,
I am just saying, like, as someone who has been playing this game for years, I have never had the vibe that Star Stable is doing anything or out of pure, we just want the money.
Right.
like cynicism.
Right.
There are a lot of MMOs out there that just feel like, oh, we're doing this because we just want the money.
Yes.
They're not throwing in an extra, we're trying to make this fun or accessible to our players and still make money from it.
Right.
We're just trying to maximize profits.
Yeah.
I also
And
agree with
SSO does
Pikachu's
not
point.
feel like
Number
that.
go up.
Right.
I hear Pikachu squawking, and I'm like, you're
Oh, Danny, I'm
right.
not crying. I just talk like this. I'm fine. I'm
Just
fine.
adding her-
I appreciate your concern. I'm just a little deranged. I'm just imagine if Roger Rabbit got rabies, and that's what happened.
We keep Betsy as a pet.
But I'm sure.
Michael, let me out.
Rabbit.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure you guys already touched on this earlier. But so people complaining about not getting star coins this year. Again, people, we get gifts. We get gifts until the 31st. Calm down.
Yep.
We still might get a code. You don't know that. And even if we don't, think about, I mean, all the little things that people complain about, they're small. Look at it from a grand scheme of things point of view. Like, it's not worth complaining over. It's not worth harassing the team for,
Yeah.
or threatening their mental and emotional health. It's like, if you're not careful, and I'm just speaking from I used to be a part of a breed server, and it grew very fast. Like, literally to where I was selling admin adopts without barely changing the breed base for like $500 each. Not even joking. And we had thousands of the horses in like months, and it was ridiculous how big it grew. But speaking from a standpoint, like, when the complaints and the demand gets so high, don't threaten their mental and emotional health to the point that people are just going to quit. and we won't get the game at all.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My brother in Christ, it's digital ponies.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, this is something, and that's the thing. Like, they need to remember, like, and you know, we as like horse lovers, even we don't get very many games to enjoy.
Right.
Not very many good games that keep
It's-
you engaged, and at least ones that don't like. And thank God, Star Stable isn't the same. I will be honest. In the beginning of the game, where you have the whole Save Moreland bit from what's his face, I was worried. I was like, oh God, please don't let this be another horse trope of we must save the farm type deal.
I know.
I
We
swear
must
to
save
God.
the farm. The farm.
Like, I am so grateful that this game is not that.
Yes. Same.
Like, out of any horse game we've ever had, that's always been something like that, where you got to compete in a show or whatever to save to get enough funds
save
or
the
whatnot.
ranch, save the farm.
It's
Yes.
I
Oh
love
my
that.
God.
I almost feel like they were deceiving us. Like, oh, here's this typical trope we're going to start you out with. Oh, you thought this was going to be like a typical horse game? No, it would look. You got to save
for
little squid.
For that, I love them for that, because like if that's what their intention was, because I love it. I love that it's a little nod to the other horse games and like the trope. But I'm so glad and I'm so grateful that that's not what this game is. And I love that even though this is a horse game, because there is so much other like non-horse related things going on. There's magic and and all kinds of stuff like that, and it pulls in other people who don't really particularly like horses in real life or know much about them. And I love that. And I love that this isn't just a horse girl game.
This game,
I know.
honestly,
I dragged a few people from Tumblr roleplay who were not horse people.
Yep.
And were like, oh, this game's actually fun.
This game,
Yeah,
honestly,
that
to
was
me,
me.
has one of like the best graphical styles. Like, this is probably one of the prettiest games that I play, if not the prettiest game that I play. I know everybody likes to talk about Red Dead and how nice Red Dead is, and like, yes, Red Dead is nice and very pretty, but in a different way, in a very different way.
Yeah, from a realism standpoint.
Right.
For a stylization, Star Stable is right up there with The Sims to me.
Oh yeah.
Like if you are able to stylize something like Star Stable, Talia, Wind Waker from frickin' 2003, 2004, it will last forever and it will never look outdated.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
You did not try to make it look realistic. You know, like the games in early 2000s and mid 2000s, like that era, when they were like figuring out realism because they're like, oh, we can do this. Now those look stylized.
Yeah.
Because they aim for realism, but they tried really hard, and like your realism is going to be outdated within a year, 2 years.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And there's a genuine fear I have regarding the horses. The current style that they have for the horses, in my opinion, is the best that they can get. Like, it is
absolutely.
I agree.
great
I agree.
stylization. They found their niche where they can make most of the breeds feel like they are existing within the same universe. I'm afraid of them. What I feel like they can really do, like the better they can do now, is just come out with like the next generation, Generation 4, being a focus on customizable codes. I can't see them updating the models outside of maybe small tweaks. I don't want them pushing for extreme realism because I feel like it's going to get uncanny.
If they push for extreme realism, this game will be dated and done with like immediately.
Oh yeah.
So,
but yeah,
I can tell that Nomi has not.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I really think that with the horses we've gotten this year, like I'm going to use the Dutch Warmblood since it's the latest one. I think that is the perfect marriage of realism and their style, and that if they push for just that with any of our new breeds, they've got it made.
Yep.
And I think, and like you guys said, it still makes them look like they're part of the universe. that way. And also, it allows them to have more fun with the personality. Like going back to one of their earlier game blogs, one of the updates they want to work on this year is applying horse personalities to each individual horse.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I'm excited for that, and and their style will allow them to play with that. Like, imagine the cute, quirky little faces we'll get that we could possibly have from these horses.
So this is
like-
kind of off topic. Not off topic, but also on topic.
Please.
Well, MMO basically just means like a multiplayer online experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that is, by definition, what Star Stable is. You're playing this game, and there's people around you, and there's a chat box, and you can play and talk with other players.
True.
So what would define an MMO? Because I'm also thinking Talia also defines itself as an MMO.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
I don't have to talk to anyone in that game to do to like, get what I want.
Yes.
So
I
what
think
would define MMO?
I think the problem is that there is more to that acronym. It's the full term is MMORPG.
Right.
Like people,
Well, we are role playing also.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all role playing in all of these games.
Well, one thing I will say for this game, I think I do feel it's an MMO RPG, but it doesn't have a lot of multiplayer opportunities, like for us to work with other players, like a lot of games do. We had a little taste of it with the last Equestrian Festival, where for some of the races you had to like join with random people to do the races. The ones at the by the dressage arena.
Yeah.
So we did those 3 races. Like I think a couple of them you had to join with random people or do in a group.
I think so.
I'd like to see more stuff like that. Like, not that believe me, I'm an introvert. I am not one for joining with random people. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like it kind of sucks. Like, okay, so even like for the main story, it would be really cool if we could actually all play the main story together.
That you'd be able to
and I know
and see each other. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I know that's asking a lot, but I mean, it's it's something that Baldur's Gate has done. But of course, I don't expect Star Stable to reach to that level quite yet. But it would be something really cool, I think. That like while the group leader, like whoever made the group or whatever, is doing the main story quest, that we can still watch and see what they're doing.
Right. And I guess when I said like, okay, Star Stable doesn't really feel like an MMO to me most times. It's honestly because at this point there are very few things, like there are very few hallmarks of a typical MMO that you can find in Star Stable. I mean, they just added crafting. What? Last year? 2 years ago? Whenever
with Farah's stuff,
whenever Farah's thing came out, that's the first crafting experience we ever got in this game, which is a staple in most MMOs, if not all MMOs. So like, there really hasn't been much for you to like call this game an MMO, because all there is are the quests. And the quests are cool, but when there's no more quests, which is what we're discovering right now, like, all of us that have played for, I mean, how long does it take you to beat the main story quest? Not long.
It took me a few months, yeah.
Okay.
So, it took me like 3-4 months.
Okay, so let's say that you take your time and you do it in 5 months. Alright, that's 5 months of a game that you played $70 for. You probably got your money's worth out of it, but now you kind of feel bad that your account's sitting around, there's new horses coming out. Okay, but there's really nothing to do other than new horses coming out, unless you're doing what we do, which is essentially having a glorified Zoom call in horse
That's true.
And
Danny Tiger X just stated something very interesting.
Yeah.
And that is the fact that they are changing how they introduce us to the game.
Yes.
I imagine they changed a lot of...
Like,
no, I'm thinking of that, and I'm also thinking, so I did see some of the new introduction to the game, and they have you meet Lisa, and it just kind of strikes as odd to me because in my original playthrough, we don't meet Lisa, or at least I don't really remember how exactly.
No, you meet Alex first.
Yeah, Lisa, because
you gotta rescue her.
I very specifically remember that, like, wasn't Lisa also stuck in
Starshine is
Pandoria?
an amnesiac. He doesn't remember anything, and you have to get his memory back.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like the new intro. I watched a full playthrough that somebody did. I posted the video in chat. I don't know if you guys saw it. I absolutely love it. It made me want to buy another account just so I could play it.
Okay.
Because okay, so spoiler alerts for anybody who doesn't want to hear, I'm sure people have shown, you meet all of the Star Riders right off in the beginning. And I love that because it gives you a connection to them, because you sit and you have like a little cookout with them, you do barn chores with them. It gives you a connection to them, to these people, instead of you just randomly meeting them and expecting, oh, you've got to save this person.
I do like that.
Wait, hold on. Quick question.
Yes.
Important question. Does this mean we see Anne without her scars?
Yes, we do.
Holy crud!
I like that.
Yes, we do. And
I wish
like,
we had
okay,
that.
so we meet them. We meet them right before they go and do all their stuff where they get caught or captured and all that. So, like, yeah, we meet Anne right before she's about to leave for the show.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll
have to go back and watch that. I haven't had a chance.
Oh, it's so good. And then also, like, you know, again, spoilers.
Yeah.
So they have it to where after you've met all of them, so you stay the night in the little cabin, you know, that you can go in and access your inventory. You stay the night there, and you have this dream where you actually dream about the Star Rider, like all of the Soul Riders together, about your powers, about Garnock, about the Dark Riders. Like, and I love that because I'm like, oh, it's just so, like, my fantasy lore in me, person to be is like,
I will also just randomly, I remember.
Oh, sorry.
Here, let me just finish my thought real quick.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I remember, like, the first actual sign of, oh, you're a special person, was meeting Elizabeth Sunbeam, and she has you do the runestone test where all the runestones light up, and it shows you, oh, hey, you have all the powers.
Yeah, so in the dream, so it starts off where you see, so there's a little creek or whatever behind the camping area, and you see a light back there, and you're like, huh. So you follow it, and it leads you to one of the old runestones. And it's very, like, it very much follows the whole, like, mysterious, dark magic-y feeling from the Vala Witch stuff that we did down in Devil's Gap.
Good, nice.
It's very cool. And then, like, but yeah, and you have a vision of the Soul Riders, of the Dark Riders, of Garnock. You also have a vision of you standing in the middle between the Dark Riders and the Soul Riders, which is interesting because it makes me wonder if we're going to be the one to join the groups together or something to that effect.
Which we already have been kind of doing.
Yeah, we kind of have.
Yeah, we've kind of been interacting with both sides a lot, so I can definitely see that happening.
Right, but like now thinking about this being at the beginning of the game, it's connecting everything, and it's so satisfying.
I'm glad they did that.
We were able to replay
I know. I would like to replay that. See, they at one point when they redid the circus, they let us redo all those quests. Like all the circus quests, they let us redo. I remember that. Like, it was when they redid the circus.
When Idris was hot, he was a crusty old man.
Yeah.
Right.
I did the circus quest when Idris was nasty.
And also, when they introduce you to your horse in the paddock, like with Lisa and everything, they're like, oh, you know, we've had this horse for a minute, but it's just not connecting with anybody. Like, and it's kind of temperamental, whatever. See, he's getting fussy, see if you can go calm him down. And that has that little moment with you kind of connecting with that horse, which I kind of like that they've added instead of Justin being like, hey, look, here's a horse.
Yeah, here's a horse. Wow, it's certainly a horse.
And it just so happens to be our solo horse.
Right.
Like,
I love that it's the trope of like that horse. Oh man, no one has ever been able to pet that horse. That horse has been touched by no person. Don't worry about the tack on that horse. No, it was magically on that horse when we found
well,
it.
like it's not that nobody could touch him. It's just like it wouldn't connect with anybody. And the person teaching you, by the way, in the paddock isn't Justin anymore. It's shoot, God, I'm gonna hate that I forgot her name. Yes, thank you. And she says that like she's like, this horse hasn't connected with anybody, and here on Jorvik, if you don't connect with a horse, you shouldn't ride it. Technically, if there's not that bond there, you shouldn't be with that horse. So, and I like that little addition.
It's a trope.
I know what you mean.
But I love those TikToks that they're like making fun of the horse movie tropes. They're like, no one's been able to touch that horse, and then like the rider gets on the horse, but then they're like the worst position. Their legs are splayed out in the air, and they're purposely like making themselves look like they're rocking and wobbling on this horse.
Get down off that wild stallion.
Oh, and then they're like, "Oh wow, she's riding him amazing," and she's like half sideways on him, just wobbling.
Yeah. We want to. Me and Courtney and Kenzie have talked about making one of those for years to put up on the YouTube channel. I think it'd be really funny.
Oh, you need to. You need to.
Like, not only do we have
Alex and Johnny.
Not only do we have Johnny at our disposal, but we also have Kenzie's horde of minis.
Oh my god!
So like,
I
think the horde of minis would be hilarious to do that with. That's a wild stallion, and it's Kirby, who is like the littlest, whitest, like little freak. I love Kirby.
The mental image that produced in my head was
Kirby,
amazing.
The mini that's certified as a therapy mini that goes to our college campus. Kirby.
Aww.
No one has ever been able to tame that damn Kirby. He's killed 3 people in the past week.
That would be that would be Avalon. That would be Kenzie's mini. That mare, I swear to God, likes to eat fingers for breakfast.
Oh please, please, she can eat mine. I don't eat these.
She's almost too tall to be a mini. Like she's almost too tall to be a mini. If you want to talk about a horse like miniature horses, there's miniature ponies and there's miniature horses, and mini ponies are like abominations.
The devil.
Absolutely.
That's what your mom told me at Briarfest. Like, those are the devil.
Avalon is also pretty close to the devil, but Avalon looks like a horse, just tiny. Like if you walked out into the fence and like plucked an Arab out of the fence and put it in the dryer, that's Avalon. Kirby is like...
So it's like the classic miniature pony, which is incredibly chunky, versus the American Shetland, which literally is just a miniature horse.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay. Just real quick, I had a couple of thoughts during the whole intro thing. First one being, I feel like SSO would really benefit from doing the thing bigger MMOs do, where you are able to have multiple characters on the same server, on the same server on the account. So like you would have a separate list of characters depending on which server you go to, and that's and they're called toons that way, if I recall correctly. I feel like SSO would benefit greatly from that, instead of having to make a new account every time you want to experience an update to old story stuff. Because I do want to point out specifically to Danny Tiger that at least as someone coming from a lot of games like these, especially from these older, like been running 10, 15, maybe even 20 to 30 year games, that rewriting that the stories for these kinds of games is very fluid, and rewrites are almost inevitable, I would say. And I feel like SSO in particular has it needs to be rewritten, because it's done a lot of stuff in the modern story writing that they are dedicated to, and the fan base has been really receptive to. but contradicts the old story. What mainly comes to mind for me is Sabine, who is very clearly an adult woman now.
Mm-hmm.
But in the old story, she was a stereotypical snooty teenage girl, like the rich girl in the horse.
She was
right.
She was basically Regina George.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like
intentionally.
But like 14-year-old Regina George.
Right.
Which is a
and her horse with a horse that had fire hooves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And red eyes. Shadow the Hedgehog horse.
Yeah, Shadow
exactly,
the Hedgehog
which is a complete. It's just a different character than the Sabine now.
Right.
It's just a completely different character. So they, and plus with the request to redo the pronouns, they've pretty much they've backed themselves into a corner where they kind of have no choice but to go back and rewrite the story now.
Yep.
At least at some point, obviously, it shouldn't be a priority. There are big things that need to be dealt with first on a technical level that they promised they would do this year. And I would rather them focus on those first. But my points are that, one, the storytelling of these games is inherently fluid because that's just the nature of this kind of beast.
Mm-hmm.
And two, SSO has forced themselves into a corner where they absolutely need to rewrite the story. Now, whether or not you actually like the new story, that is a different goose altogether. Different goose, different eggs, and I don't have an opinion either way, personally, and I am obviously not gonna be the clown that tells you how you're supposed to like the story. That's stupid. If you don't like the new story, or if you do like the new story, then good for you. Or I'm sorry that happened. I don't know. I didn't read it.
What I personally want to see, and I'm tempted. I'm almost tempted to start a new account for this. Is to see if they changed anything with Justin's storyline, because they updated his model.
Right.
Yes.
Like I'm over here. Like, are they gonna have Sabine? Are they gonna have the old model Sabine? Is she still in there? Are they still doing that? Have they rewritten that part? Are we gonna have to see him turn into an edgy guy?
I think we had in
into a vampire.
No, I think we had in when Sabine originally got updated, I think we did see that some people that hadn't gone through those quests yet did, and they did change the models back there, I think.
Love the screenshot.
I do know that when they updated the Soul Riders around saving Anne quest, because that's like the December that when they had Anne come home.
Yeah.
I started playing again right after that mission. So I do know that they still had the old models, like the really crusty models for Alex and Lisa and Linda. And they didn't use the new ones for me until the Rescuing Anne one. So I was stuck with like what's the haircut? The really sharp looking Starshine and the crusty tin can and stuff. The spiky hair, the really spiky haired Lisa for a while before I got to that point.
All right, gang. Well, we had a really good discussion tonight. Good on everybody. But I'm gonna hop off stream. I'll probably stay in the voice chat for a little bit, but I'm gonna hop off stream. So we will be back next Wednesday. So I don't think is there anything big coming?
Happy New Year, everybody!
I don't. They haven't really said. They just said it's the last week of the Winter Village, but that's
okay.
about
Because
it.
I'm like, are the Ardennes coming out? Are the Ardennes coming next week?
Like the week after?
They are coming in January, and I think they're going to come the second week.
Okay. All right.
If I remember
January.
correctly,
That's usually when the horses come.
Snow.
The snow stays until
Holding on
February,
to-
though.
Yes.
The snow stays until February. So yeah,
I hope
good
that means the
conversation
music stays
tonight.
till
Thank you to
February,
everybody
too.
in the chat that participated.
Thank you, Dan.
That was awesome. You guys were great. So it was
See you
nice to
all
have
next year.
Yes,
And
see
make
you
sure to
see you all next year.
see y'all next year and send a nice comment to the SSO Insta because that poor guy is going through it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I know.
definitely going
Just
through it, so.
Just
Yes,
remember,
if
be
you
kind, and be courteous, and remember it's just a game,
Yep.
please.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
People's
if you
mental
have
and emotional
any
health aren't worth it.
critiques,
Yes.
any ideas, like I suggested this to the others earlier, go and support
Yeah.
and
Submit a
just
ticket.
pick up like a few ideas for merchandise or something like that. And be, of course, be polite, be courteous. They're more prone to actually listen to you if you are nice.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. All
Human
right,
decency,
everybody.
come on.
Good night. We'll see you next week.